to the warm-up. I'm Stu Wakeford. We've broken out of our temporary home up there in the club offices and we are pitchside. This is Thomas Frank's view on a match day, and my view is of the ambassador Marcus Gale 2 metres to my right, and Brentford women's gaffer Karleigh Osborne over there, or should I say Bruno Mars. Up, down, fun, go and give it to you.
He does say he can sing as well.
He did, didn't he?
Yeah.
Give us a bit.
I mean, that's why I wore this. That's why I wore this today.
Mate, you're looking good. You're looking
Thank
good.
you very much.
We've all had a go, haven't we? We've all had a go.
Yeah.
How are you both?
All good.
Very well, thank you. Very well.
Live show was a bit of fun on Tuesday, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was lively.
That was lovely. Good job we found out that the mics are muted before you started talking about that rash, eh?
Excusez-moi. What rash, eh?
Tough times at the moment, innit, boys? But we'll still get stuck into it and we'll liven it up today, yeah?
Of course.
Exactly.
That's our job.
I hope so. Otherwise, it's going to be a tough watch, to be fair. We will be, of course, talking about that game against Birmingham on Tuesday night. We'll chat Preston tomorrow, and I think we need a little bit of light relief, so I've enlisted the funniest man at Brentford, Luke Daniels. He got involved with a bit of my favourite. That is not to be missed. Karleigh, what do we want the guys to do so they don't miss out on gold like this in the future?
Like, follow and subscribe.
That's it, that's what we want to do. Right, let's get into it. Lads, Tuesday night was really disappointing, but not just for what happened on the pitch and the draw. After the game, 2 hours before, we saw the Birmingham and the Brentford players standing side by side behind a banner that read, "Together Against Racism." Ivan and Brian then go back into the changing room at full time to see racist and homophobic messages. What was your two's emotions when you saw that?
I was just disappointed. It's affecting players yet again. You know, these are players at their place of work being abused still. If this was in any other industry, I'm sure something would be done straight away, but it just seems that football doesn't have an answer at this moment, or the social media companies are not doing enough in terms of how do we identify these perpetrators of it, and how can we better support our players through it as well.
That's it, Karleigh. There's been a lot of talk about racism and discrimination, not just in sport, in society over the last year. We've spoken a lot about, you two did that brilliant player's perspective of Tariq. A lot of other clubs have done some fantastic stuff, Marcus Rashford, so many people. We've also seen great documentaries, Anton Ferdinand, Micah Richards. But just over a year on now, are we doing enough?
Honest answer, probably not. I think it's a difficult one because I think it's hard to really know exactly what needs to be done, if that makes sense. You know, there's going to be very different opinions on what should happen, but at the moment I feel like, you know, the perpetrators feel like they can kind of do it and get away with it, and they are to a degree. You know, people are just making up accounts and throwing out some vile abuse and then disappearing, and there's nothing really done. So it's tough. I mean, you know, when I heard about it, I felt for the boys, and of course it brings back my own experiences and feelings of those situations or scenarios that have happened to me myself. So when any player kind of gets that, it automatically brings it back for you as well. So it's extremely tough, but we need to keep raising awareness, we need to keep working towards it, but we do need to find a solution and we need to take action.
And with the social media platforms, that's where a lot of the talk is at the moment, and kind of we need to do more. We've seen Thierry Henry's come off social media. Just before we started filming today, Swansea announced they're going to do a 7-day blackout on social media. With the Thierry Henry thing, it annoyed me that he's had to come off. He's had to do that to raise the point. But are these things that you think can have an impact, Marcus?
Yeah, definitely. I think in isolation, it's probably not going to do those social media companies anything. They're going to think, well, who's Thierry Henry? To us, we look at him as a footballing legend. To the Twitter company, just an ordinary citizen of the world. But if there is a collaborative effort amongst football, then that may be the shift that's going to affect their brand reputation and hopefully one day their profits, because these companies, they're all about money. They put money before humanity as well. So if we can do things in a collaborative way, I think that might be the catalyst of change.
Certainly, look, and we've done a lot of talking. We could obviously go into a lot more detail, and there are arguments against the anonymity issues that we kind of not been able to touch on. One thing we do need to talk about, Birmingham on Tuesday, to quote Rod Stewart, "I don't wanna talk about it."
Now he's singing.
He should have let me sing that bit.
Job.
That's what I thought. But
We've got to talk about it though, right? Let's get it right. It wasn't the performance we were after, it wasn't the result we were after. it's not quite going right at the moment. Thomas alluded to it could be a few things. Karleigh, what do you think it is maybe?
Yeah, I think there's probably a couple of things. I think the final third at the moment is just not quite coming together for us. I thought we started the game really well. I thought the first half, I thought the energy and intensity was really good. I thought that was a lot better. But just that kind of final pass, that little bit of end product, whether it be a cross or a pass that slips in someone, we just didn't quite get it right, and that became frustrating the longer the game went on.
Could things like that, like Thomas said, there's a lot of things it can be, Marcus. Are we talking things like fatigue? Are we talking about things like crowd? Are we talking about things like luck? What plays into that? Because this isn't a new phenomenon just for us, is it? Like, even the best teams in the world go through these runs. Like, I'm not comparing us to Barcelona, Liverpool, but they've all had it. City have even had it under Pep. What are the things that can contribute to that? And is it kind of one of the things that can snowball a little bit?
Yeah, look, it goes both ways. We had a 20-game unbeaten period. Confidence is high. Everybody's happy. They run onto the pitch happy. They walk off the pitch at half-time happy. High-fiving at times. A good space to be. The flip side is when it don't go your way, is dealing with the opposite. Your confidence is a bit lower. You probably feel a bit more under pressure. Look, at the moment, there's no crowd in there to give you that sort of pressure. So the players should be able to just relax and just play their natural game and get into that rhythm. But there's other factors that can come into it that we might not be able to be privy to, but the players will only know that, the coaching staff will only know that. But as you said, look, all great clubs go through a phase. We've seen it in the Premier League. A lot of clubs are going through wobbles that you think, that's not like them.
Yeah.
It's just how you get through it. Don't forget, we're still third in the table and we've had a couple wobbles. People are questioning us, we're still third. It's very much in our own hands to bounce back, and the boys will do it.
The crowd one's the weird one, and we were talking before we started here, and I had a weird little theory that I think that there's certain positions where it affects more than others. I think as a centre midfielder, not having the crowd, the pressure's a little bit easier, it's off you. But for a winger, where the crowd can be massive, not only for your performance, but your opposite number, the fullback. Because Karleigh, what's it like when you're a fullback and you've been done, I imagine it didn't happen to you very often, but say you have been done a couple of times, and the crowd you can sense are lively and they're behind their winger, that must make your job harder.
Yeah, it does. And it's one of those where literally, you know, if you've started the game and the crowd are up for it, the player's gone past you a couple of times, you can see the player's confidence grow as the crowd get louder, and obviously as a player sometimes yours starts to diminish. But I think in those senses, I think you're right. I think the crowd does make a big difference. And even in times when you need that little injection of energy, a crowd lifts you. When you hear the roar off of a tackle or winning a corner, whatever it might be, and you hear that roar, it does give you a little bit of a lift to go on and go again.
Well, there was that moment, Ethan, a fantastic tackle just in front of there. And I remember when I was watching it there, I thought, imagine there was fans here. That would have been one of those moments where everyone went up, and that can give you guys as players, Marcus, a second win.
Oh, no doubt. You know, when you got the crowd behind you in that full support, there's nothing better than when you get that ball and they're saying, go on, get at him. You know, that tackle, that clearance by Ethan, that would have filled him with so much sort of
adrenaline,
confidence, adrenaline. He's going to do it again. But at the moment, without the fans there, he doesn't get that sort of adulation in terms of that defending. Same with the forwards, when you're going in that direction, you want that little bit extra. It does give you that extra 5 yards.
So, again, I imagine you've both been in these runs, just because every footballer does, no slur on your careers. How do you get out of these runs?
You want the games to hurry up and run out?
That's
one
basics.
thing.
It's the basics. You need to keep doing the basics. You need to stay focused. And you need to understand that it will change, but it's making sure that you kind of do everything you can as a group of players for yourselves, but also for each other. So if a player needs a little bit of help more than usual, then give them that bit of help. If you need to make more runs than usual, make more runs. Like, you just have to do a little bit more. You have to find a way of doing a little bit more sometimes, just to break that, you know, wherever it's going wrong, just to break that and obviously get where you want to get to.
Character and personality is key as well, out on that pitch. Whether it's on the pitch, whether it's on the subs, those are key elements as well, because they give you that little bit extra.
Yeah, definitely.
And I've had times where you might be going through a tough period and your teammates will say, listen, you just stay up here, go and try and make something happen. Don't worry about the defending part, your weak spot. in your game, but worry about creating something down the far end. You know what I mean? And I've had that been told to me a few times, which really helped.
So is it that giving those attacking players that freedom to don't worry about, you won't have to score 2 or 3 today, you just focus on you, and especially now we've got Ethan and Pontus back as that partnership, who we know did so well last year.
Yeah.
I know there's a few stats this year about expected goals with or without Pontus, but we know that that's a fantastic partnership. So maybe then the attacking players, you go, well, we know I don't need to worry about anything back there.
Yeah.
But I can just go and do my thing up here. Is that what will help, Karleigh?
Yeah, definitely. And I think there's a stat. I think Brentford are 3rd or 4th for least conceded shots in the country. So it goes to show that defensively they're extremely solid. So you can maybe take that little bit of an extra risk of letting the forward players just kind of go and be a little bit freer up there, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because obviously at the moment, in terms of the shape and defensively, we're in a good place. We just need to get back scoring goals.
Yeah. And defensively, I want to talk about Ethan, because I thought on Tuesday night he was absolutely unbelievable. In a game where there wasn't loads of positives, obviously there were some. I thought Ethan was tremendous. We've mentioned there him and his partnership with Pontus. Why do you think that works so well, Marcus?
Well, they're consistent in what they do. Their actions they commit on the field, they're consistent with that. We know for a fact if there's a long or high ball in that box, 9 times out of 10 it's going to be Ethan. 9 times out of 10 it's going to be Pontus as well. So we've got that stability at the back, which spreads through that team. Is that we've got 2 reliable guys here. Even David Raya the other night coming out to claim balls. I think
superb,
that also adds to the confidence to the team. Is that yes, we know we're going to get bombarded, but we've got those 3 in particular that are going to keep us nice and solid, and that helps the side.
Who was your favourite centre-half partner?
My favourite centre-half partner?
Should have briefed you on this.
I was going to say that, yeah. For me, it'd probably be Danny Shitu or Leon Legg.
And why was that?
Just because I didn't have to head it as much, because them 2 loved heading it. But no, do you know what? We just built up a relationship where I knew exactly kind of what they was going to do, and they knew what I was going to do, and it just worked really well.
Do you think sometimes, because Ethan and Pontus strike me as quite different personalities and they've both got different qualities, do you think that's why they complement each other so well as well?
Yeah, in a way that opposites attract.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good thing. You can't have too much of one thing. That's like something my mum told me years ago. Too much of one thing is not good for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So to have the balance of the personalities, the character, is a good combination to have.
Any keepers give you a bit of an ear bashing over the years, Karleigh?
Oh, loads.
Who was the worst? Who's the worst?
Wojciech Szczesny used to shout a lot. Even when he was younger, he was quite demanding. I'm trying to think who else I played.
Probably Richard Lee then, isn't it?
Richard Lee did as well, yeah.
See?
But Richard Lee did it he did it in a very different way though. He wouldn't just come out and bawl and shout. Like, he would at times, but then he'd like get you in the changing room and be like, listen, we got standards that we got to keep, so let's make sure we keep them standards.
Yeah.
So you always knew that you had to perform in front of him and make sure, and he was brilliant like that. He was.
I needed a really short answer just as a link to get to this
Sorry,
next item. Because one man who loves giving out an ear bashing is Luke Daniels, and no one is exempt. Here he is in my favourite, and it might possibly be my favourite.
Bolton Wanderers, big Bolton fan when I was growing up.
How have you coped with the, I don't want to say demise?
Yeah, it's pretty much a demise, isn't it? Yeah, it's like being so involved in football, you kind of distance yourself away from like the fanatical like fandom. So it's obviously horrible to see what's happened over the last few years, but it seems that they're on the way back hopefully now. Probably the Emirates. That's a nice one, yeah. I've been to most of the other ones, but I think the Emirates is where I've actually played.
What's been the worst place for because where you are, you've got fans behind you for 90 minutes. Is there any that are like a nightmare for that?
Leeds is quite bad. Yeah, you get quite a lot of stick at Leeds. I think it's quite like a good thing to do, like put the away fans, like a lot of your stadiums where they're small, they put them right behind the goal, so at least half the time you've think you've got a bit of support, but then like when they put them right in the corner and then you've got both ends for 90 minutes, you're just getting abuse. It's like, yeah, that's good.
Is there anything you can remember that's really stuck in your mind that someone shouted at you?
There's a few things that have stuck in my mind. Like, I'm not sure I can repeat a lot of them, but Like I used to get up until recently, it's like, oh, you've got school in the morning, 'cause I must have a baby face, something like that. It's like, all right, okay. If that's the best you can come up with, that's fair enough. There was one when I was on loan at Shrewsbury, and it was a playoff semi-final, and it was just one of them games where I was like unbeatable. I was like saved penalties, I saved 2 in the shootout as well, saved them in the game, and just like I think they had like 26 shots on target or something ridiculous, and we went 3 on penalties.
Is that what you do? Any time they're going to bear down on goal, do you just go, nah, this is like? Does it feel different those games?
It gets to a stage where like you've literally done, like say, because we went into extra time, so we've done 90 minutes, 110 minutes where you've done it and they're still throwing everything, going like, just don't mess it up now, like just stick, like just see it out kind of thing. So I think if you say like you feel invincible, that's a slippery slope where you can start doing silly things, start getting carried away, and that's something that I feel like I'm quite good at. Keep it, yeah.
You see like a striker will walk off the pitch, we might have won, but they'll be livid that they only scored.
Yeah.
Do you get that if we've won but you ain't kept a clean sheet?
A little bit, yeah. Like 6-1 never helps a goalie, even if you've won 6-1. But like, I think the thing is, like, goalkeepers get a lot of stick for being a bit mad, but strikers are the most fragile human beings in the world. They're so fragile. Like, you see, like they'll put one wide and it's like, oh, sulk about, and it's like you get away with it at the top end. Like you can't do that in goal. So I do think there's obviously a little bit of weirdness with goalies, but it's up the other end that you need to worry about. I think obviously you look at like worldwide and stuff. You've got like someone like Black, or I think in the Premier League, I quite like Kasper Schmeichel. I think he's not necessarily underrated because obviously everyone knows how good he is, but there's like sometimes goalkeepers get talked about as like these special talents, or special because they do fancy things. And I think like you look at someone like Schmeichel, he can do that, but he's consistently good, like 8 out of 10 every week. And for me, that's like, in terms of goalkeeping, that's what I aspire to be. I'm never going to be the best footballer on a team. It's not going to happen. So I need to be the best at what I do, and that's what I like, appreciate the consistency of someone like Schmeichel, where you know what you're getting. It wouldn't really be a cheap meal, but like something like steak and chips or something like that. Yeah, like I like a good steak.
Not fries or anything. You want to be?
Yeah, like restaurant. Not like I make at home, like restaurant chips, like where you get them and they're like stacked up in nice little boxes like that, and you just smash through it, something like that.
And what about the steak? What are you saying? Sauce, béarnaise, or?
Peppercorn maybe. Yeah.
Very cultured.
Yeah, no, not really steak and chips. Steak and chips is like old school, isn't it? Don't really eat much cereal, but my youngest is into like Lucky Charms, and on the odd occasion I'll like have a little go at them, and they're unbelievable. Like you forget how good they were. Like you had when you were a kid, and they kind of like disappeared for 20 years, and then suddenly they're appearing again, and then so yeah. But
with them, do you just take with a marshmallow bit?
No, he does. I was like, Finn, you gotta eat that because you're not having any more. He's like, I want some more. He's like, you're not having any more until you eat the actual cereal. You can't have marshmallows for breakfast, mate.
You should just sell a pot of
a pot of them. Yeah, they wouldn't make a killing, wouldn't they?
Wouldn't it?
Probably Predators, like maybe like the second or third like generation of them when they came out, and they were like, I think it's like obviously like there's Dan Beckles with like the big like thick stripe came down the foot, and I used to love them. A little tongue, yeah. You
see, like you get like winger boots.
Yeah.
You get like centre half boots. I always think like the World Cups or maybe like post that. Are they like keeper? But what's good for a keeper?
Well, probably like 20 years ago, it would have been something like a World Cup or something like that, you know, like because you just got it and just smashed it as long as you can. Whereas now you've got to like play a little bit more, so like coloured boots. Like it feels weird. Like occasionally I'll have like black boots, and it feels weird, like having black boots, like looking down at your feet and stuff. So I think it has. Not sure about goalies and vapours. Yeah. You don't have to run fast enough or far enough for that, but like I think you can get away with pretty much anything now. I'm into like quite series and stuff like that, so I think one of my favourites of all time is probably like Sopranos, something like that. Like favourite boxer. You never got into it?
Nah, I never watched it. Have you Breaking Bad?
No, I've never watched that. No.
I gave up.
Yeah, I got told it was a bit slow. So yes, I think Sopranos all time. And at the minute, I've not really got anything on the go. But like, I get a lot of time in the afternoon, so I kind of like it all blends into one. Like, I think I've completed Netflix. Like, yeah, I should get a little medal or something. Like, it's just like the competitiveness. I'm like so competitive, and I think like to come in every day and like try and get better and try and compete with people and win games of football and stuff. That's like, I'm not really. Well, I'm not at all really a flashy person or anything like that, so I don't. So like, people talk about the things that come with it, and it's like, yeah, a lot of that's nice, but I'd still do it without that. And like that's so yeah, it's the competing, being able to scream at someone and not getting like a letter home or something. Like being able to like literally get in someone's face and it not be an issue. I quite like that. Yeah, you get away with murder. It's like I've never had to grow up. There's quite a few. It's a really good group. I think like there's lads that I can have a conversation with, and there's lads that I can just watch. Like, talk about reality TV. Like, some of these lads, I would love to watch them in their house because I don't know how they'd survive it. Rico's like, honestly, I don't know how he survives. Great lad.
Josh De Silva just tells him when he has to be at places and what he needs to do.
Yeah. He's like, he needs someone to hold his hand. He's unbelievable. I think like Brian and Buemo just makes me laugh. He's so funny. Like, without meaning to be, sometimes he's just a funny character, and like because he's so funny, when he sulks, it makes me laugh even more because it's like he goes like from like laughing and you can hear him all over the training ground. So like he'll put one wide and he sulks, and it's just like it's the best thing ever. Like, I love stuff like that. But yeah, we were
like shouting at the most.
Shouting at the most. I think that's just a general thing. I like shouting at people, but yeah, quite like shouting at Sergi because he always goes, "Yeah, you're right," like whilst running away. Like, yeah.
Never has to go back.
No. To be fair, I don't mind that though. I quite like that. Like I say about young players, sometimes they think I'm shouting at them because like I don't like them, and it's not. Like, I've no issue whatsoever. Like, I'm as happy shouting at Henrik as I am at someone who's young and coming through the B team. It doesn't really make a difference to me. It's all the same. I quite like stuff like science, like interesting, but it wasn't like.
You want to go in too deep?
Yeah, I'm not like thinking about it. I quite like the idea of it more than actually doing it.
It's
yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting, but I don't want you to test me on it. Yeah, like messing around with stuff like that, and like setting things on fire and like seeing what happens and things like that. But apart from that, not an arsonist. That escalated a bit mad, didn't it? That went a bit mad. Yeah, I like burning stuff. But yeah, just like I like the experiments, but I don't like learning what's actually happening.
So there you have it, that's my ticket out of here. Me and Luke Daniels are going in on a business selling the marshmallow bits from Lucky Charms. You thought you two were going to be the first to leave. It's going to be me. I'm going to be a millionaire this time next year, Del Boy. That's your line. Anyway.
Good luck, Rodney.
Preston away tomorrow. Let's go back to the match early in the season. We've got to talk positively about Brentford, but that day it was very much Jekyll and Hyde. First half superb, second half not so good. We talk about one game at a time. Do we need to go one half at a time, maybe?
I think we have to, judging on that game there. You know, the first half, dominant, scored great goals. And then the second half, as if we turned over, changed shirts and said, right, you have a 45-minute period. And that was probably the first time this season where we've seen a team come out and just press us and suffocate us until we collapse in that second half.
Well, that's it, and that's not a dig, by the way, saying that, oh, do it to. I think that's what I imagine would happen a lot, surely, in the changing. You'd go in and go, right, let's break this into two halves. Uwe Rosler is in the running for the Preston gig. Frankie McAvoy's in there at the moment. He's a caretaker manager that's stamped his authority on them straight away. He's not just kind of carried on the work of Alex Neil until someone gets in. How often do you see that, Karleigh? Because he's changed the formation twice. He's now gone the last game 3 at the back and 2 up front against Swansea. Is that normal for a caretaker to do this?
I think it can be. I think it depends on whether the caretaker wants the job as well. You know, if that's maybe his ambition, he's going to want to stamp his authority on it, so the club can see that he has his own ideas, and this is how he sees it. And if it works for them and works for him, then of course that's beneficial. But I think, you know, he's trying to get results as quick as he can, and that's what he feels he needs to do.
And one thing that he's also changed is apparently they're going a lot more, I don't want to say direct, but it's balls in the box early, and they've got another long throw. More long throws, you know what I mean? So we've seen that one against Birmingham Roberts. It was like an arrow, wasn't it? So Barkhausen's got one as well for Preston. I mean, every club in the country seems to have one at the moment. We've got one, obviously Mads. We dealt with it really well, I thought, on Tuesday night. What did you think, Marcus?
No, we dealt with that very well. As I said earlier, Pontus and Ethan Pinnock at the back, along with David Raya, got hold of that ball and made sure it wasn't going to turn into a second phase scramble or anything. It's important to have people like that can commit and be brave to attack that first ball.
Because that can't go underestimated, because we've seen Swansea against Birmingham have an absolute torrid time, and then they played Preston, and Preston have done the same thing and scored against Swansea with it. So that shouldn't be underestimated. I imagine that's quite a difficult thing to defend, Karleigh.
It is. Long throws can be horrible, especially when they're flat as well. But I think what was really good was kind of Pontus and Ethan, where they were free to go and attack the ball, which helps. And they had that license to go and attack the ball when there was players around covering them. So that helps. And I thought they defended it really well. And also Raya coming out and claiming a couple as well. It makes everyone's life a little bit easier.
Yeah. Thomas has said he's got 100% faith we can win this. I've got 100% faith we can win this game as well. And I really do mean that. Obviously then people will look at the formation that Preston have played in, and through at the back is some way that we've not always done too well against this year. You also look at their league position, and we do seem to have maybe not been at our best at the teams that, I don't want to disrespect them, but your teams like your Derbys, your Birminghams that are kind of nearer the lower end of the table. Why do you think that is, Marcus, that we do so well against your Watfords, your Bournemouths? Because we did so well against those teams. Even Norwich we played really well against. But we find it a bit trickier against these teams at the bottom.
I just think that, you know, we're expected to go and beat these sort of sides. There's no God-given right to, but you have to apply hard work along with the qualities that we have in the side. If that is both on point, we should be winning games. But at the moment, we're slightly a bit off with the quality part of it. But it seems like we're being stifled through the middle of the park, because that's one of our strongest points. Key passes in midfield, great striker up top, putting them away. We're kind of being funneled out into the wide areas, and teams are trying to figure out, well, how are Brentford down those wide areas now? Are they as dangerous as they once was last year? But at the moment, we've still got to answer that question.
Glenn Johnson was watching the Preston Swansea game on Soccer Saturday, and he said that Preston were first to every single second ball. How do you make sure that doesn't happen against us, Karleigh? Is it as simple as, is it being clever on your toes? How do you make sure you do that? Because is that fitness? I don't get how you can be good at that.
Yeah, it's all of those things. I mean, first and foremost is understanding where balls are going to drop on them second balls. So, you know, you need to be sharp up in your mind and making sure you see pictures before it happens. Ultimately, you're going to have to match Preston for their work rate and their ability to press and win things back. And I think Brentford will do that. But the game is one where Brentford need to match that and then make sure that they do their bits, what they're good at, which is playing football, of course, and moving the ball quick.
Is this a game, do you think, again for Vitali and Christian then in the middle, Marcus?
Yeah, definite. You know, they've got the qualities in there. You know, we're being pressurised in that midfield area. Everyone's just snapping into it. We've got to be better at dealing with playing under pressure, having the confidence to trust the ball into Vitali or Jensen or Saman Ghoddos, even though they are being marked, having that creativity to go in there and say, go and play.
Does that go back to that confidence thing though? Because we know that whichever 11 footballers are on that pitch in a Brentford shirt are arguably 11 of the best footballers in this league. By far. Technically, there's not many better than our players technically. So is that kind of getting that belief back, getting that confidence that that's what you are? You are a player that should be fighting for promotion this league, Karleigh.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's the biggest thing at the moment. Is getting that belief back in the group that, listen, we are one of the best teams in this league and we deserve to be where we are and higher. Let's get back to enjoying that feeling of being one of the best. Like, let's get back to enjoying that. They should be proud. They've all worked hard for that. You know, the club's worked hard to put themselves in the position they're in now. We need to get back to enjoying and believing that within ourselves.
That's what I want to hear. Lads, I'm being serious here, right? I'm not serious very often. I'm going to quote one of your old gaffers. We will win tomorrow. We will win tomorrow. I'm
Absolute
serious.
certainty, that's the most important thing. There's only one manager that's certain like that all the time.
I am serious about that.
And he hypnotised the players into it as well.
Well, I'll go and say it to them if they want. I know we're going to win tomorrow. I've got a feeling. We're brilliant.
We're going to win.
Well, that game against Preston is a 3 p.m. kickoff on Saturday, and the only place you can watch it is on iFollow, where Mark Burridge will be joined by Big Ben Burgess. And the B team, they are in action on Tuesday. They play Cambridge United away from home at St Neots Town. That is a 1 p.m. kickoff. If we can get a feed, we'll get that up, but we don't know about the facilities yet at the stadium. Keep an eye out for that on social media. Next week, we're not going to have a warm-up on the Friday, but we're coming on the Saturday for the live show again. We'll be over there bringing you all the build-up to that Millwall game and hopefully a repeat of the late drama from last season. Before you go, I've got all the prizes. They're signed, they're up in the club offices up there. We'll be getting in touch with you to get your addresses. If we don't soon, get in contact with us so we can get them out to yourselves. Thanks for watching. Tough times don't last, tough people do. Do you like that? That's one of your ones, isn't it? You like that? We've got to all stand together. We can get through this. A big last push. Come on, you bees. 3 points Saturday. You Reds.